Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome on into our webinar. Feel free to get settled in, share with us in chat where you're joining us from today, and we will be getting started. So thank you for joining us today. It's great to see you all. We've got some representation internationally across California. We've got the Bay Area, Sacramento, Southern California, I think I saw in there. So thank you all from joining on. New York City represented. Nice. So thank you all for joining us today. We're so excited to have you here. And as we get started, we just wanted to share a few things about Zoom, the webinar platform that we're using. Many of you might be familiar given a lot of remote learning from high school and prior institutions. But just to make sure we're all on the same page, you may want to play around with Zoom a little bit. First thing to know, as attendees, your video is off and you will be muted during this webinar. We ask that you please use the Q&A function to ask questions. This helps us keep track of any questions that are asked and helps us make sure that we're addressing all of them. You'll find the Q&A button on the bottom of the screen. You'll see the two little comment boxes on top of the Q&A letters there. Just so that you know, other attendees may see the questions and answers, but you are welcome to ask questions anonymously if you would like. We will not be using the raise your hand function, and we would prefer not to use chat to answer questions. Remember to use the Q&A. As presenters, we may use the chat function to send out websites or group messages to all attendees to help us and help you keep track of all the information that we're sharing today. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started and get into our introductions for today. My name is Joe Lee. I am one of the academic advisors in the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences Dean's Office. That picture that you see there is out at Lassen National Park here in Northern California. One of the kind of fun things that I like to do is visit national parks. It's kind of a bucket list to one day be able to hit all of them, but there's a few obscure ones out there that might be a little bit hard to get to, but nonetheless, I like to spend time with my family outdoors and go hiking. So I'll turn it over to Tracy.
That sounds amazing, Joe. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Tracy Dieslin. I also work as an academic advisor in the College of Agricultural and Environmental Science Dean's Office. I support students all the way from recruitment, so when you start to kind of express your interest in UC Davis, all the way through graduation. I will be available with my colleagues in person for appointments in the fall, as well as probably online or remote in some capacity. This picture was actually taken, this was like my last outing before COVID for my birthday celebration. So I'm kind of looking forward to things getting back. A fun fact about me is I lived in Central America for 2 years after I graduated from college, and it was a really meaningful experience. So it's really good to meet you all, and I'm going to pass it over to my coworker, Hong.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I am also one of the academic advisor in Dean's Office. I did graduate from UC Davis with an undergrad degree in clinical nutrition. And I took some, at least probably 4 years off before I went back to get my master's degree in higher education leadership at Sac State. Some fun facts about me. I like to work out. I've been cooking a lot during quarantine. And then this photo here is when I went to Toronto in Canada with my sister and my friend, which I have not been traveling since COVID back in 2019. So I'm looking forward to start traveling again in 2020. Probably not this year, but next year. And I'll hand it over to Lizette.
So hi everyone, my name is Lizette. I recently just graduated from UC Davis with a major in human development. My fun fact is that I was a volunteer doula prior to COVID, so I helped mothers in labor. It was taken at UC Davis. It's one of UC Davis's main attractions almost. So that's a sign you can look forward to seeing on campus. And I'll hand it over to Clarissa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Clarissa. I am also one of the academic advisors in the dean's office. For the photo that you're seeing of me in the top right-hand corner, that is actually also right before the pandemic hit. It was a photo in Tahoe. I was able to enjoy the snow, the little bit of snow that was left at that time, and go snowboarding. And one fun fact about myself is I love dogs. I am a huge dog lover, but I am allergic, unfortunately, but that doesn't stop me from wanting to own a dog. So I would love to see all your pet photos from you all if we ever meet. But yeah, I will go ahead and pass it to Danielle.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Just really want to welcome you all to UC Davis and to our webinar. My name is Danielle. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm also an academic advisor in the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences Dean's Office. I'll be here kind of behind the scenes on the Q&A, answering any questions that you all sent in, so please share those. Fun fact about me is that I also love dogs. It's usually my go-to. My family has a pug and I have a Chiweenie, which is a Dachshund Chihuahua. They're both super cute. I love them both. And like Clarissa, would love to see your pet photos as well. So thanks everyone for being here.
Okay, so we are going to go ahead and go off camera now so that you can really focus on the content of the presentation. We'll come back on camera at the end for the live Q&A. So I just want to really emphasize, stay with us after the presentation. We're going to come back for some questions and just turn off our videos. So for today's webinar, like Joe mentioned, we are going to be using that Q&A tool. So we have your PowerPoint presentation, which is hosted by your academic advisors in the College of Agricultural and Environmental Science Dean's Office. We also are going to use your Q&A tool to submit questions. And we'll play a little quick game right now in terms of getting a little practice with that Q&A tool. And so I want you to put in the Q&A if you prefer Netflix or Hulu. This is a debate in our office sometimes. So Netflix or Hulu. So go ahead and drop that in the Q&A, just so we can get a little bit of practice here. All right, I see lots of Netflix. I see lots of Hulu. I prefer Netflix because I don't like paying for the upgraded Hulu with no commercials. Yeah, I know TV has been helping some of us get through this pandemic. Oh, lots of Netflix. Ooh, started off pretty heavy on the Hulu, but I'm seeing a lot of Netflix rolling in. So great. Thank you so much for sharing. And so we're going to take some time. There's our wonderful advisors behind the scenes answering those questions for you today, and live questions, which we will have an opportunity to ask at the end with either your camera off or your camera on, whatever your comfort level is. And so now we're going to transition to the goals for today. And so we really appreciate you taking the time to be here. It is just great to be able to host you all for this presentation. We are going to really focus on what is academic advising. So we want you, to really understand what it is that we do within the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences, and then also provide you with a recommendation on how to pick your classes for fall quarter. We know that you're really eager to plan your fall quarter schedule. And so the goal today is that you will have a chance to sort of think about what those classes will look like and get some guidance in terms of your course selection. So moving ahead, what is academic advising? And so for academic advisors, we really work together with you to support you and empower you in reaching your goals. We know that when you come to UC Davis, you have a lot of educational goals and personal goals and career goals, and we are part of that network of support. We want to make sure that you understand all of your degree requirements. So coming to a top research institution, there's a lot of university requirements and college requirements and program of study requirements. And so our goal is to really partner with you to help you make sense of those degree requirements. We see ourselves as your coach or as your partner. We don't make decisions for you, but we really want to support you and provide you with options to empower you to make the best decision for yourself. So it can be really intimidating. I know that a lot of you are coming from, all over the country, all over California, outside of the US. And so just know that you have a lot of really good support in the dean's office. And we really just want to take the opportunity to get to know you and figure out what are your goals and how can we support you in reaching those goals.
So here in the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences, we like to consider and would like for you to think about your network of support. And what we mean by that is that there are a variety of advisors who will help you throughout your time here at UC Davis to get the most out of your experience. And as a student in the College of Ag, this includes your major advisors, which are your dean's office advisors until you formally declare a major. And these major advisors can help you with more major specific questions like, which classes should I be taking? How do I get more involved in the major? What research and internships might be available in my major? Things that are more specific to kind of your department and area of study. And then in the dean's office, for those of you that might not really know where you want to go with a major, we help students kind of figure out and navigate major selection. We advise students on university and college requirements. This includes things like your general education requirement and also other policies and procedures that come up throughout your academic time here. In addition to those advisors, you also have peer advisors. These are student advisors that are located in both major and dean's offices, as well as other offices on campus that are great resources to help give you perspective and idea of what to consider from a student viewpoint. From a major perspective, they can give you a better idea of what types of classes you can expect within your major and help you understand a little bit more of what to expect when it comes to class content and types of instructors that are available. And then lastly, we have faculty advisors. And this is a very critical group of people that you'll be talking to throughout your time here at Davis. And faculty advisors are your instructors and professors within the departments. Getting to know faculty members are a great way to help understand post-graduation plans and options. For those of you that might be considering graduate school in the future, getting to know faculty members is going to be a really important step, not only when it comes to letters of recommendation, but they can help guide you into what type of grad program might be the best fit for your interests and help you understand some of those next steps into career and industry pathways as well. We want you to not be afraid to ask for help as you start your time here at Davis. As academic advisors, we want to help you through that. And so now we're going to kind of go over more specific information about class scheduling as an undeclared student and what to expect in your first quarter. So When we build your first quarter schedule, there's a few points that we want you to consider. First, a balanced schedule. What we mean by that is consider taking some potential major related or science related classes and GEs. So we don't recommend that students, for example, take biological sciences, chemistry, calculus, and statistics in their first quarter. That would be a very tough and challenging schedule, and all located in the math science type fields. We would recommend that students kind of stick with maybe a math class and a chem class, and maybe a general education or a writing class. And then you can round out your schedule with something like a career discovery group or a first year seminar. We will speak more about career discovery groups later, as that's a great program that we really want to encourage all students to get involved with during their first quarter here. The other thing to consider for your first quarter schedule are prerequisites. These are requirements that need to be completed before you take certain classes. The most common ones that come up for incoming freshmen would be for chemistry and calculus and writing. These all have various exams or placements that you will need to take in order to be able to move forward in those sequences. We'll talk more about placements in a moment, but it's important to make sure that you're enrolling in appropriate courses based on the prerequisites that you have. The general catalog, schedule builder, and in our college brochure all list the prerequisites that are required for classes. We want to make sure that you're not signing up for classes out of sequence. So for example, you wouldn't want to start with Chem 2B until you've completed Chem 2A. There is a prerequisite checker that enforces this. And so it is important to consider that you're not going to kind of slip into a future class in a sequence. You will be administratively dropped. So it's important to sign up for classes as intended. You will be meeting with our office. You will, and we'll talk more about the specifics of how to sign up for that advising appointment later in our presentation. But we want you to meet with your intended major advisor if you already have an idea of what major that looks like, or our office as you're continuing to consider other opportunities available to you. We're here to help you figure those pieces out and work on your scheduling moving forward. So more, more first quarter tips to consider here. We generally recommend up to 15 units, but really you need to make sure that as full-time students, you're enrolled in at least 12 units. It's okay if you don't meet 15 units of coursework during your first quarter. However, we get that 15 units from averaging 45 units per year over 4 years to reach a minimum of 180 units that's needed to graduate. So when we think about scheduling, it's important to first, we recommend start a little bit easier first quarter. You're getting used to a lot of new things at UC Davis, and we encourage you to take it a little bit slower, then up to 15 and 16 units more consistently as you move forward. Of course, we want to talk to you about that and help you choose the right schedule for you. But just make sure that you're enrolling in at least 12 units during your first quarter. The other thing to consider is the entry-level writing requirement. Some of you may have satisfied that requirement prior to coming to UC Davis via high school in various ways. Others may still need to satisfy that when they're starting here at UC Davis. It is important that if you have not satisfied your entry-level writing requirement, that you prioritize that during your first quarter here at UC Davis. There is a time limit of when that needs to be completed, and we can talk more specifically one-on-one in our future advising appointment. If you're considering majors that require chemistry and math, we do recommend starting on those sequences during your first quarter. So even if you're not quite sure which major you want to do, but you're deciding between something like animal science, global disease biology, and environmental science and management, all those majors are going to require chemistry. So we do want to encourage you to start with those sequences your first quarter. If you're not planning to take any major and just know already, I don't want to take anything to do with chemistry and math, that's okay. You don't have to take those subjects your first quarter. We also recommend adding in general education classes to help fill out your units that kind of balance out your schedule. Again, it goes back to the balance that we're talking about, and it's important that you start making progress on GEs. You can take a lot of great classes out there. And then if you're looking to add 1 or 2 units, there's a lot of creative ways to do that, one of which is by taking a first-year seminar here at UC Davis. So we certainly encourage you to check that out and encourage you to look up those classes that are listed.
All right, thanks, Joe. So Joe gave a really thorough explanation of what that fall quarter is going to look like. What are some good tips to keep in mind? And as a reminder, we are recording this presentation, so you don't have to remember and memorize all of this. If you also want to take a picture of any of these screens, you're more than welcome to. But this one is in regards to placement exams. And so like Joe had mentioned, many of you will be joining or exploring majors within the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences. And we also know that some students might transition to other colleges, and that's totally okay. This is really your time to explore and really figure out what it is you want to do with your time at UC Davis and what major you would like to graduate with. And so the most important sort of piece here I want to focus on is that placement exams are built to test your understanding and ability in topics so that you're placed into the most appropriate class for you. So we just want to emphasize this is not a pass or fail type of exam. If you don't place into one of these classes or you don't do well in the placement exam, it doesn't mean that you, let's say, can't do a major that requires math or can't do a major that requires chemistry. It means that you'll place into a different course and start there like a workload class before you go into the placement exam. And I'll talk about that a little bit on the next slide. And so what I want to focus on is for writing, there's the entry-level writing requirement that Joe had mentioned. The website is posted and the placement survey opportunities will take place from now through December 10th, 2021. So that's pretty late into fall quarter. We do strongly recommend that you take the placement survey 2 weeks prior to your Aggie advising appointment. And so we're dropping all of these placement exam links into the chat. Thank you, Clarissa, so that you have access to these and all of these dates. And so we just want to emphasize that taking these placement exams is really going to help you kick off your fall quarter in the most appropriate classes for you, getting that head start on satisfying the entry-level writing if you haven't satisfied it already. The math placement exam is going to be offered September 8th through the 14th. That's the first session. And then there's going to be a second session, September 22nd through 28th. And I want to emphasize that all of these placement exams are fully online. If you want to do any calculus or any math course starting off in the fall, you are required to take the placement exam. There are some students who might have some AP or IB credit that's equivalent to the math, some of the math courses, or the chemistry, or even the writing. And so as your advisors, we'll meet with you and we'll help you articulate what would be the best placement class for you. The math placement exams are required if you are considering a major that does have math, and most of them start with calculus. what we can do is we can post in the chat our College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences majors brochure, just so that you can reference that. On the very back page, we have the majors at a glance, and there's all of the core preparatory classes that are required for those majors. So you can kind of see, okay, do I need math? Do I need chemistry? The chemistry placement exam has 2 sessions for the fall. The first one is September 8th through the 15th, and the second is September 22nd through the 28th. And so for the chem placement exam, a score of 24 or higher would place you into Chem 2A, which is the first of that 3-part series that Joe had mentioned. A lot of these classes have series, meaning that there might be Chem 2A, Chem 2B, and Chem 2C. So there might be 3 classes, for example, to cover the entire general chemistry. If you don't place into general chemistry, we know that some students didn't have chemistry when they were in high school, and that's totally okay. Then you would maybe start in something like workload 41C or another preparatory pathway to build that foundation to then transition into chemistry. So we're now going to focus on a couple of reminders and shift gears here. And so as I mentioned before, UC Davis has a lot of students, and some students, and some students are coming in with AP and IB exam scores that may or may not be equivalent to some of the classes needed in the series for math and chemistry and English. There can be times when a student has the equivalent to the Math 16A, for example, and they feel that they want to go straight into 16B as opposed to starting with 16A in the fall. There's also some students who have credit for 16A, but want to still take that class in the fall. And so there's an AP IB chart that we can share in the chat with you. It'll kind of let you know how your AP and IB credit works in terms of course credit. And that's something that we can also talk about in our AG advising appointment in terms of if you have credit for some of these classes and what would be our recommendation for the next course to take in the fall. As I mentioned before, workload units are very common. There are a lot of students who might not place into the general calculus series for math, and who maybe don't place into general chemistry. These are classes that will prepare you for those series. So they are typically only offered in the fall. So our recommendation is if you have any hesitancy about these subjects and you know that you're going to be coming into UC Davis in the fall and you want to get going on these particular prep classes for a major of your interest, we would actually recommend that you start with the workload. You can always change your schedule during your PASS 2, which is another opportunity to change your schedule for fall. But the workload classes, they do the Math 55M counts as 3 units towards your 180 units needed to graduate. So, does not count towards the 180 units needed to graduate. I'm sorry, I misspoke there. It does count towards your minimum progress. So what that means is every quarter, we want to see that you're doing between 12 to 15 units every quarter. So these classes might show up as 0 units at first, but they're not going to count towards that 180, but they're still going to count for the quarter. So don't worry, they count for something. Workload 41C is the same. It is going to count towards your minimum progress to help you maintain your full-time status, if that's something that you are doing. A lot of students coming in must maintain their full-time status, but it won't count towards the 180 that you need to graduate. So we want to emphasize you're not necessarily behind if you are starting in an introductory workload class. A lot of students do start in these classes, and we just want to emphasize that you are in no means behind. Drop deadlines for courses are different depending on the class that you're in. So some classes have a 10-day drop, meaning that after the 10th day of instruction, you cannot drop that class from your schedule. Other classes have a 20-day drop, meaning that after the 20th day of instruction for the quarter, you cannot drop the class. So we just want to remind you to be very mindful of these drop deadlines, because you might add maybe an extra class to fall thinking, all right, I'm going to do 4 classes this quarter. And then as you're going along your first week and you're looking at the course syllabus, you're thinking, I don't know if this is such a good idea. We want to make sure that you're checking in with us, checking in with yourself, and dropping that class within the drop deadline. We will also want to emphasize, like Joe had mentioned, that you must enroll in those lower division courses. And those are courses that have a 0 through a 99. So for example, Chem 2A would be a lower division class. NPB 12 would be a lower division class. Anything like ANS 100, that would be an upper division class. And lower division classes are really geared towards students in their first and second year at Davis. So they're really building that foundation in the upper division courses needed for the major. They're just really geared towards students coming in their first and second year. Upper division classes are more appropriate for students in their junior and senior year at UC Davis. And so these are some really important reminders just to keep in mind as you're developing your fall schedule and then thinking about winter and spring. Okay, so now that we've talked about what advising is and how we can support you and all the different ways you have advising within the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences, we now want to go into some of the really great ways that you can have a lot of fun your first quarter. And so you can get
I think we may have lost Tracy there. So I'll jump in
one is just
here.
getting to know students that are in the college, that are doing these classes, that have been there, that have remembered their orientation probably very well. I'm going to go through some of these programs that we offer. And so Aggie Advisors in the top left corner there, it's a program that gives students the chance to participate in community service and outreach while promoting the college. The outreach, usually this specific photo is a picture of outreach to high school students at the Future Farmers of America event. So it's a really good way to build community, get to know other students across the college, get to represent your college. In the Career Discovery Group program, new College of Ag students get a head start in exploring different career paths. And you get this with the guidance of a campus mentor. We cannot stress this enough, how helpful career discovery groups are. You can register for the course for the fall, get to kind of explore what would be a good major to do what I want to do, right, professionally. So we cannot stress enough to our undeclared exploratory students how helpful the career discovery groups are. Another great opportunity in the college is our Manners organization, also known as Multiculturalism in Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Related Sciences. And students can take part in promoting diversity in the field of agriculture. So getting the opportunity to do some really meaningful work. All of these programs offer unique ways for new students to get involved with the college, and in some cases, even earn academic units, like I mentioned, with career discovery groups and Aggie ambassadors and Manners. And then at the bottom, we want you to look out for some really cool events that we offer, like Study Break, where we are your barista. We make you coffee or tea during finals week. Come by and say hello. There's a picture of our dean. They're socializing with some students who are in the midst of finals. And Slice Advising, one of my favorite events, where we have pizza and we just get together with students and just get to talk to you about how your quarter's going and answer any questions that you have. So we're going to shift gears here now, and Joe is going to share what is next.
So as we look ahead over the next couple weeks and couple months, we wanted to make sure to give you a timeline of what to expect. And so first, during the month of July, in a couple weeks, we would like to schedule a one-on-one appointment with a dean's office advisor. So you'll have the opportunity to sit down with us. We'll be able to look over your academic record and kind of go over what you're thinking in terms of a major, what types of classes would be a good place to start, And we'd like to meet with you before you have that Pass 1 registration that takes place at the beginning of August. So you'll be registering for your fall classes between August 2nd and August 4th. You'll have a pass time during that time. You'll be able to wait list for classes at that time. That means that if a class is full, you can put yourself on what's called a wait list. In case a spot opens up, the students on the wait list will be able to get into classes. We do recommend that you have a backup plan in mind, because sometimes you will not get into a class off of a wait list, and you do need to make sure to have some other course alternatives. So we can talk more about that during our advising appointment. After Pass 1 comes Pass 2. And that's where you can make any additional changes or updates to your schedule. You'll have an opportunity to register again and make changes as they come up. You'll, in terms of next after that, we have our Aggie orientation between September 17th and September 21st. This will be a great time to get to know us and for us to get to know you as we begin your time here at UC Davis and when you move in for fall. So we'll be sending out some updated information on that as we go forward. So next slide, please. And so in terms of scheduling an appointment, you'll be able to schedule an appointment online, and you can email us as well. However, we do want to let you know, and as Hong put into our chat here, you will actually be receiving an email from one of our Dean's Office advisors within the next week or so to schedule an appointment. So this is your first and probably one of many reminders to be sure to checking your UC Davis email regularly, because that's where you will be receiving your message from our office. Be sure to check out, just keep an eye there. We'll get you all the information and look forward to scheduling that appointment with you. This information that you see here is kind of about scheduling an appointment after that initial appointment with our office. But if any other general questions do come up in the meantime, that CAES advising email is a great place to start. So with that being said, we're actually going to transition into our live Q&A portion today. So as I was looking at questions, I did want to just start. I noticed a couple questions as it relates to intended majors, changing majors, and things like that. So I wanted to just start and say that some of you may already have an idea of what major you want to pursue here at Davis, and others may have no idea of what you want to pursue here at Davis. Regardless of where you're at, that's totally fine. You're not expected to have everything figured out. And even if you do, you might end up changing it later during your time here at Davis. So even though you're undeclared, you are welcome to reach out to your intended major if you have more specific questions about a particular major that you've identified. After today, this webinar recording will be posted on our college website alongside webinars from all the other majors. So we would definitely recommend starting to watch those other webinars and get a sense of what to expect from some of those other departments. Check out their department websites. We do want you to meet with our office first. So you're going to have that advising appointment with our office in July. And then we do encourage you to follow up as intended majors with your intended majors as they come up. So another question that I noticed here in our chat is just kind of first quarter scheduling, a lot about that, but I actually wanted to turn this one over to Lizette, our peer advisor, And Lizette, can you share a little bit about your experience as a first quarter student here at Davis and what you felt as you kind of started with your schedule here at UC Davis?
Yeah, so my first quarter at UC Davis, I kind of just stuck with more basic classes. So I took like a workload chemistry class, and I took an English class and a GE course, just trying to keep it a little bit more broad because I wasn't sure where I wanted to go in my major. And I definitely established orientation. So in orientation, you definitely get guided to what classes you should take and what level of courses are best for you. So those courses are the main ones I took. But in terms of like adjusting to the new level, so adjusting to college level courses, you kind of just have to jump off the diving board and go into the deep end. You learned pretty quickly how to adjust to those courses. And then there's always the tutoring center, which is a great resource for students. It's definitely something I use. And if students are going into the dorms, even the dorms have a tutoring center within them at night, which is definitely something I did going in my first quarter just to adjust to my courses. But that's pretty much, did I miss anything?
No, that was great. Thanks, Lizette. Another question that came up in chat as we kind of went through the webinar was about chemistry placement. And I saw a couple questions as it related to, can I take the placement exam again? Can I take it a second time? If I didn't take it during that first window, can I still sign up for chemistry? So Hong, I was wondering if you could kind of tell us a little bit more about the chem placement and what students can do, maybe if they don't pass the placement exam, and what to expect over summer.
Yeah, I was actually going to answer a question in the Q&A regarding that. So I won't respond to that and just share with the broader audience in terms of that question. So in terms of that placement exam, I know Tracy provides some information. You may have taken the placement exam already. If you do not have a qualifying score to take like the actual math or chemistry or English class, for the chemistry and math, you're able to retake the class, retake the placement exam. So when you have your advising appointment with our office and when you register for classes in August, you are able to actually sign up for that chemistry class or the math class, with a caveat that when you take the placement exam in September, you do get the qualifying score. Because if you sign up for the class in August and just say in September, just say you didn't pass it, you do need to make adjustment to your schedule, because if not, the department will drop you from your classes. And we don't want that to happen, because if you are on financial aid, some of your financial aid could be retracted. Housing will be impacted because you have to be in 12 units and your minimum progress as well. So just make sure that you have a backup class just in case you can't, if you don't pass a class. And I do encourage, I know there's 2 different testing sessions for in September. I highly encourage taking the test in the first part of September, right before school starts, so you can finalize your schedule. Particularly for chemistry, just be mindful how many times you take it. I think there's a limit on how many times. I think after 4 times, you may have to petition with the chemistry. So since if you didn't pass the exam, you do have the next few months to maybe study or do ALEKS as, mastering those concepts and then retake the exam. So definitely use the summertime to brush up, study, review. And on the Turing website, I think there is review stuff that you can use for the math placement exam as well.
Thanks, Hong.
You're welcome.
There was another question previously about doing a minor outside of the College of Ag. And it got me thinking. I know that some of you might be thinking of double majoring and looking at other options. And so, Tracy, can you tell us a little bit more kind of what to expect or what to think about as you might consider double majors, minors, other colleges, and how all that could kind of factor into things?
Absolutely. And I think it's really cool to think about maybe adding another major and kind of thinking about different areas of interest. And I know right now, a lot of you are, you're all undeclared exploratory, and a lot of you are still kind of figuring out where your major is going to take you. And so there's definitely UC Davis policy in terms of unit limitations and course overlap and things like that. So for example, if you're thinking about two really similar programs, like maybe animal science and global disease biology, it could be hard to do both of those very heavy STEM majors because there's too much overlap with the upper division coursework. So kind of a general rule at UC Davis is no more than 80% of the upper division coursework can overlap. And so I feel like I'm getting tongue-tied. 80%, 20%. Sorry, I'm getting myself stuck here for a second. I just heard two little boys come running in the front of my house. So I think, I think you're starting out and you're working on declaring a major. And I would say take a class in that major. So if like you're thinking, okay, I think I want to do animal science, but like communications is kind of cool too. Do an intro class in communications. Maybe go onto the website or reach out to the major advisor in communications and take a class your first quarter and explore. If anything, it can count towards GE credit, so it's not a waste. And you're taking this time to really just, try different things out. As you kind of go through at UC Davis, you'll start to think about what you want to do when you graduate and what that'll look like in terms of your major. So would it be beneficial to maybe pursue a graduate program to do whatever it is you want to do? Would it maybe make sense to do a minor because you just really like it and it's a break from your major and it's giving you GE credit? So I kind of think being open to other programs is totally okay. You can always meet with any major in any department, even if it's a student, which our peer advisors are great, and just get a sense of what is it that students are doing with this major? What is the major like? And then kind of as you go along at UC Davis, decide, okay, I think I want to explore that more. And so you're going to look at, can you explore it? So what will your academic plan look like? What will your quarters look like? Can you do it within your graduation timeline? And so these are kind of really good conversations to have with your advisors year to year and quarter to quarter as you're going through your classes, just to get a sense of what are your goals and what you're thinking of exploring. And that way we can sort of help you with that facilitation.
Thanks, Tracy. So there have been a few questions in the chat about moving into the residence halls, and there was a question in there about living learning communities as well. And so one of the things that we want to highlight is that with our Aggie orientation starting on September 17th, the move-in dates will take place prior to that. And so, sorry about the noise there. If somebody else could step in and.
Lizette, do you want to share more about move-in dates and all that fun, having gone through that?
Yeah, so I'm not too sure what the move-in dates exactly are, but move-in day is always an exciting day. Everyone is assigned a day to move in and a time. So it's a lot of people gathering, very excited. There's some helpers that you can get to help you kind of move in, get some, I think you got some like carts to move in, if I remember correctly. Definitely an exciting day. So lots of families around. You even get a bike check-in with, I believe it was the police department. You get a little license for your bike. And then you can put your bike on the racks and little fun things like that going on throughout the day. And then there's also multiple events going on that weekend or that week just to celebrate your move-in and your start at UC Davis.
Yeah, so thanks for jumping in there, Lizette and Tracy. Sorry about the distractions, fun and excitement with Zoom and virtual fun, I guess. But to answer the question there about the learning living community, you are more than welcome to be involved with the learning living community, even if you are undeclared. So it's certainly open to all students. There are some that like the honors themed one does come to mind, where I think you do have to be part of the university honors program to be part of that particular one. But in general, there are a lot of different living learning communities, and we certainly encourage you to check out the housing website for more information about what's available to you here. So great questions, and we're excited to have you all join us on campus. Let's see here. So next kind of question. There's a question here about advantages / disadvantages to staying undeclared. What might that look like? And so maybe Hong, if you could tell us a little bit about kind of what students can expect and if there's any advantages or disadvantages to that.
Yeah. So as an exploratory undeclared student, you cannot stay an exploratory student forever at UC Davis. It doesn't matter if you're in our college or a different college. You actually cannot even switch to a different college and declare undeclare. It doesn't work that way. So during your time here at Davis, as an exploratory student, you do have to eventually declare a major. You have about like your first 2 years to kind of explore the major, to kind of figure out what major you want to pursue. And then after you reach 90 units, excluding any AP IB units, there will be a hole on your file, which will kind of alert you to kind of come into our office to discuss about your major direction and helping you figure out, for you to select a major. At this point, the advantage of staying as an undeclared is this is your opportunity to explore. And you're not tied down to, I don't know which major I want to do. We do have a lot of even declared major, the students who are declared who do switch their major. So as an exploratory student, you're not tied down to just one major. It's your opportunity to explore. Don't feel like you're behind compared to students who have a declared major, because like I mentioned, we do have declared major who switch. Even I've seen students in the third year who are switching the major as well. So the advantage of staying exploratory is opportunity for you to take a variety of different classes to see what you like, and then figure out what major you want to pursue. And the disadvantage is eventually you have to switch a major, so you can't really stay as an exploratory student. I'm not sure if anybody else want to jump in to answer that question or not.
I think that's a great way to kind of sum it up, Hong. I think ultimately, regardless of what you are declared or not declared as, you're here at UC Davis and you're not any further ahead or behind of any student. And so I think that it's really for you as you continue and move forward here at UC Davis to think critically about what you want your experience to look like. What types of things are you interested in studying, and to talk those through with advisors that can help you find majors of interest, minor options, or other things that might be available to you.
Yeah,
I
will say one more thing about that, Jill, is if you take classes and you declare a major and those classes doesn't fulfill the major that you're thinking of, it's okay. Don't feel like you're behind. Like I mentioned, all those classes that you take will still count towards something. It can count toward GE. It will count toward the 180 total units. So don't feel like because you didn't take classes to this new major and you were just taking classes to explore, don't feel like you're behind.
Great. So as we move forward, we are coming up on the end of our time today. So just a couple quick things to keep in mind. With respect to the Aggie advising meeting that are upcoming, that is the meeting that you will be having with the Dean's Office advisor here in the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences. These Aggie advising appointments will be done via Zoom. We are not meeting with students in person and still are working on our campus operations as we head into fall and what that'll look like. But the Aggie advising meetings during the month of July and through the rest of summer will take place over Zoom. As we look ahead, it is important to note too that if you're having internet connection issues or unable to connect to Zoom, we can accommodate phone appointments as well. So please don't feel like you have to or must use Zoom. There are some advantages to share screening and things like that, but we are more than happy to accommodate phone appointments if that works easier for you as well. So keep an eye out on your UC Davis email. Keep an eye out for those messages that come up. And so we do look forward to having those connections. We know this is a lot of information to keep in mind, but you will have an opportunity to review this webinar in the future, to go back and rewatch some things and talk through your questions with an advisor in a little bit. We don't expect you to memorize everything. We don't expect you to remember every last little detail. That's what we as advisors are here for, to help you to answer questions as they come up. So with that being said, we want to wish you a great rest of your day. We hope that you have a great summer, and we look forward to seeing you at UC Davis in the fall. Take care. Bye-bye.